'Twas 20 some odd years ago, I was a rambling man. I booked a passage on Aer Lingus into Ireland. And as the plane touched down in Cork, I knew what was in store. Adventures of the sort I never ever dreamed before. Well, my rental car was rather small, but then so was the road. And driving on the left for the first time was quite the load. I should have rented automatic clutch, 'twas only £5 more, 'cause every time I'd go to shift, I rolled the window down. Well, the hand controls felt backwards, but the pedals seemed okay. Then every time I signaled left, the wipers scraped away. The narrow lanes were built with walls of stone on either side, so both front doors were scratched before the rental contract dried. Well, I'd just begun to feel relaxed when straight around the bend, a tiny little roadside stand chock full of odds and ends. A dusty-looking gent stood waving something in the breeze. So I shifted, rolling my window down, and my jaw dropped to my knees. It was a table full of skulls that the man was selling there, or as he called them, heads, completely innocent of hair. This was the strangest roadside stand you'd ever chance to see, especially when I heard his pitch in selling them to me. He said, "This skull is truly ancient, and this head knew no shame. St. Brendan the great navigator was its owner's name. And this one is St. Patrick, I'm sure you know his fame." I said, "Ireland's patron saint?" He said, "The one and very same." £100, he asked. I thought that's quite a modest fee. I grabbed St. Patrick's pet and brought him to New York City. And on my mantle shone to every woman, child, and man those treasured head bones of the patron saint of Ireland. And there he sat for 20 years, just till this recent spring, when I returned to Cork to have another Irish fling. I rented automatic, for I'm a man who lives and learns. And can you guess who's waiting there around the next 3 turns? That's right, it was that little man whose table was still there. And yes, it was still covered with those heads bereft of hair. I pulled right in and shook his hand just like a long-lost friend, as he began to pitch me up to sell his skulls again. Well, I asked him who he had this time. I was shocked when he exclaimed, "St. Brendan the great navigator was its owner's name. And this one is St. Patrick." But I shouted, "That's not so! You sold St. Patrick's skull to me some 20 years ago." The nerve of that guy. Well, you'd think I'd have him dead to rights. He'd have to change his tale. But what occurred right then would make the Blarney Stone go pale. He held that skull up high, and what he told me drove me wild. "Ah, yes," he said, "but this skull is St. Patrick as a child."